Roppstar gang, what up? What up? Appreciate everyone. Join the live stream. Welcome to the Roppstar Report, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, as always, Clay Ropp. I appreciate everyone in here. Join the live stream. I mean, what a busy day in Panthers land. And we haven't even put the pads on yet. We haven't even put the pads on yet. But you know, the whole Jewell thing, we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about the clearing of Derrick Brown. We're going to talk about the signing of Tyler Mabry. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff this evening. So, again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream, everybody coming through, and, of course, showing your love. I mean, the question for the day is with Derrick Brown has been cleared for training camp for activities or has been cleared, what does it mean for the Panthers defense? That is my Q&A question of the day. Everyone live tonight. Yeah, I know, man. What's going on, Earl? What's going on, Earl? Yeah, I mean, everybody's live right now. At the start of the season, man, you might as well get used to it. You're going to have to pick and choose, my guy. You're going to have to pick and choose. So I get it. Everybody's live right now. Everybody's live. For sure. But it is what it is, my guy. I appreciate you coming through, man, whether you stay or go. Damn it. Whether you stay or go, what's going on? So, anyways, let's dive right into it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Y'all are here to watch a show, not watch me just sit here and just blah, 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 blah. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the Josey Jewell. All right, I want to dive into that first. Let me find there it is. And I'm gonna make it a call-in show here. I'll probably make it a call-in show for you guys to come in, call in. Again, my call-in shows are a little bit different than others, but you're more than welcome to come in to the live stream once I put the chat up. And, come on in, ask questions or shoot the shit with me, and then I'll move on to the next person. I kind of like to make it a true call-in show, like you're calling into a podcast, radio show. That's how I like to do it here. One of these days, I'll probably do something like C3 does as well. But for now, we're going to do it like this. It's been a busy day, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have not heard or not noticed or haven't been on X, because if you're not on X, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, the Carolina Panthers have made some waves today. Not really. Some of them not the good kind. Some of them, I'll have mixed feelings about it. I'll talk about it more here shortly, but. First things first, the biggest news was the releasing of veteran linebacker Josey Jewell. Just as training camp was about to kick off, like this team's official line sounds, polished and sympathetic. I mean, Jewell is still dealing with those post-concussion symptoms from a hit that he took in Week 18 against Arizona, and the release gives him space, right, to prioritize his health. And that's the PR version. I think the full picture here is more complicated, though, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's more frustrating, and I think it's more concerning for a franchise that's already walking into a tightrope under Dan Morgan's new leadership. Here's what I think really happened. And it could have to do with his health, but here's what I really think happened. I think there's more to this story because Josey Jewell is 30 years old. He's also a guy that signed a 3-year, $22.75 million deal with the Panthers, right? He was supposed to be a central figure in this team's new look defense. One of the few veterans obviously expected to bring that leadership stability to really a unit undergoing a dramatic overhaul. But Jewell never cleared concussion protocol after that December injury. And yes, he participated in non-contact drills during spring works, but the team had to know something wasn't right. You're talking about 7 months later, and he still couldn't be cleared for a full football activity. That's not a minor setback, ladies and gentlemen. That's a huge red flag. There was an effort to salvage the situation. If you go over, and that was per Joe Persons of The Athletic came out and floated the idea of the restructured contract, but talks went nowhere. Rather, stash Jewell on IR or the pup and eat the cap hit. The Panthers cut bait entirely. I mean, they freed up $3.4 million in cap space while you have to swallow $4.3 million in dead money. That's the way I look at it. Right? That's the way I look at it. Okay. So for me, we're already thin at linebacker. That room just got really thin, like super thin. This move creates more problems than it solves. Carolina is now woefully short at inside linebacker because your current projected starters right now is Trevin Wallace, and then you've got really a guy who's been a career backup in Christian Roseboom. I like Roseboom, but that's not depth. We are gambling here with this inside linebacker position. And I put up the poll question today in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. The inside linebacker position now becomes my biggest want and need as it coming from my standpoint. Coming from my standpoint, this is the biggest want and need now. There's not a bigger one for the Carolina Panthers. There is not a bigger want or need right now for me as a Panthers fan. I need another inside linebacker. I actually need two, to be honest with you. Because you look at this roster, man, Roseboom was a special teamer who's never been a full-time starter. Granted, he did have 135 tackles last year. He is an absolute rocket out of the backfield. But here's the thing, and then you got Trevin Wallace, who is a rookie last year going into his second year. Right? To me, this is not ideal. Okay. But see, here's where things even get more kind of head scratching, which I get it too. Early this offseason, the Panthers decided to move on from long-time captain and emotional anchor, in Shaq Thompson. Yes, I get it that he was recovering from a torn Achilles. But again, we're talking about a guy who was the heart and soul of this defense and was a respected voice in that locker room. And the Panthers opted to save cap space and let him walk. You fast forward a few months ago, and Thompson has landed with the Buffalo Bills, who clearly believe in his recovery and leadership. Meanwhile, the Panthers are left with a void that they chose not to prepare for. So, unfortunately, what's the plan now? Because that's what we got to ask ourselves, chat, and everybody in here. We've got to ask ourselves, what is the Panthers' plan? What do they plan on doing? What do they plan on doing? Because I'm not sure what they plan on doing. I know one thing's for sure. They definitely need to target. They definitely need to target a free agent linebacker right now. That's for sure. You have to. So I think here's what the plan. But I mean, but here's another thing is what was the plan with this situation? I think that's another question we got to ask ourselves. What's the next steps now? But what was the plan before we are now having to take next steps? Because this entire saga raises a series of uncomfortable but necessary questions. Why wasn't Josey Jewell's condition monitored more aggressively in the offseason, ladies and gentlemen? Why did Carolina hinge its entire linebacker strategy on a player coming off a significant concussion, another coming off an Achilles tear, and then ditched both without cog with without any, I guess, idea or plan or some contingency is the word maybe I'm looking for? Why was Roseboom, a fringe starter at best, seen as a legitimate insurance policy? See, this is where it's hard not to see this as a planning failure by Dan Morgan and that front office. Jewell's symptoms didn't just appear yesterday. The Panthers had months to see this coming. Releasing him now on the eve of training camp reeks of reactive management instead of proactive roster building. And for those of you that are just joining in, appreciate you guys coming through. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe. Underground West, what's good? But again, this is the question I'm asking you guys in the chat, man. What was the plan with this whole entire Josey Jewell saga, ladies and gentlemen? There is some uncomfortable questions that need to be answered. Wallace is the future. Man up, Clay. Okay, great. Rock Jones. But you're not listening. You're just thinking about the future right now. But yet we don't have a contingency plan. What was the plan, Rock Jones? I am manning up. I'm manning up from where this front office didn't man up with a contingency plan, knowing that Josey Jewell had these symptoms, but did not think about the future like you're thinking, Rock Jones. You're talking about Wallace being the future. Why wasn't Jewell's condition monitored more aggressively this offseason? This is where this type of stuff frustrates me. I'm okay with Wallace being the future. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Roseboom signing. But if we knew that Josey Jewell was having these conditions, why weren't they monitored more closely in the offseason? Why did Carolina hinge its entire linebacker strategy on a player coming off a significant concussion, and then you had Shaq Thompson coming off an Achilles tear, and then ditched both without a contingency plan? Make it make sense to me. Why was Roseboom who's a fringe starter at best? Yes, 135 tackles is wonderful. But why is that seen as a legitimate insurance policy? Can anyone explain that to me? I think that's a question we need to be asking ourselves, and we need to be asking, we need to be asking ourselves as fans, and we need to be asking this front office. Did they ever, knowing that Josey Jewell had this concussion and these symptoms, why wasn't that part of the offseason to bring in somebody else? Why wasn't there a backup plan just in case something like this was to happen, knowingly that he had these symptoms? The highest paid undrafted is the contingencies plan. I don't know if listen, Rock, as a Gamecock fan, I love Ben Martin Scott, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to rely on that for him to be my uncontingency, my contingency plan. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not sure if I'm willing to let that be my contingency plan. Bam Martin Scott, an undrafted free agent. I'm just not. Lomax was good. Terrence Tate comes and says because the front office knew at the last minute for this condition. Then why was it? But okay, Terrence, that also brings up my other question again, guys. Why didn't they monitor Josey Jewell's condition more aggressively, knowing he had these symptoms last year going into the offseason? He had these systems. This stuff was going on since week 15 last year, ladies and gentlemen. You can't tell me an undrafted rookie was your contingency plan. You can't tell me because they just heard it last minute. That's bullshit. There's no way. Not something like this. There's no way this front office saw this last minute. It makes no sense. That makes no sense. There's no way that this front office, knowingly that he had this condition since week 15 of last year, just somehow knew it last minute to make this move last minute, right before training camp starts. Doesn't make sense. Again, why wasn't this monitored more aggressively in the offseason? Why did they hinge their entire linebacker strategy on a player coming off a significant concussion and another one coming off an Achilles tear? Then ditched both without a contingency plan. This line, no, I mean, I'm not going to calm down because this inside linebacker room is not fueled. Listen, Roseboom or Wallace go down, we are absolutely screwed. Have you not looked at the roster, ladies and gentlemen? Do I need to bring up the inside linebacker roster for you? You're going to tell me you're okay with this roster at inside linebacker going into the season? Yeah, they have a chance to, of course, get some guys through training camp. Sure. But I'm not going to be one of those guys that's just laid back and is like, oh, it will be okay. Has it ever been okay? Has it been so are y'all okay with the 2-15 season in 2023 and 5-12 last year? You're okay with having the worst run defense in NFL history and allowing basically 180 yards rushing per game? I get it that our front seven's way better on paper. I get it. I'm sorry, Terrence, and I'm not taking it out on you. I'm not taking it out on Rock. Either, but yeah, but okay, so Randall, again, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, Randall, and then please tell me if you can answer this correctly. Because right now, no one has answered these 3 questions correctly. Number 1, first question, ladies and gentlemen, who's in the chat. Okay. And I'm not bashing you guys. I'm not coming at you guys. Just listen to the questions, please. Why wasn't Josey Jewell's condition monitored more aggressively in the offseason, knowing that he had these symptoms going on since week 15 of last season? That's question number one. Oh, we're definitely in deep shit, Rock Jones, if Horn goes out, for sure. That's another room we're deep shit in. That leads to my next question, Randall. That leads to my next question. Who said it wasn't? What evidence shows it wasn't? Okay, here leads to my next question, Randall. Why did Carolina hinge its entire linebacker strategy on playing on a player coming off a concussion and then another coming off an Achilles tear? So you had Josey Jewell coming off a concussion, and then you had another coming off an Achilles tear as Shaq Thompson, and then you ditch both without a contingency plan. They signed one backup linebacker. That was their contingency plan. You're telling me that's a smart move? Why was Roseboom a fringe starter at best when they signed him? Seemed as a legitimate insurance policy. Is it not hard for you guys to see that this planning is an absolute failure from a front office standpoint? Or is it just me? Am I the only one that's just being real here as a fan? You're telling me Jewell's symptoms didn't just appear yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. The Panthers had months to see this coming. So you're releasing him now on the eve of training camp. The difference here is what this reeks of, ladies and gentlemen, is it reeks of reactive management instead of being a proactive roster building. That's the problem. I get it. I'm okay with what Dan Morgan made, the moves this offseason, made some aggressive offseason moves to reshape this defense. I am. But this is a self-inflicted wound. That's what this is. The linebacker core now looks dangerously undercooked. There are limited veteran options still available. Any reinforcements will at this point will likely be late camp flyers or low tier trades. None of them it's going to inspire any confidence, in my opinion. Jewell's release might have been medically and financially justifiable, but it also exposes a deeper issue. The front office bet big on unstable pieces once again. Once again, this front office bet big on unstable pieces without securing a reliable foundation underneath. And that's just me being real as a podcaster, YouTuber, content creator, whatever you want to call me, and a fan. We've seen this time and time again. Gamble after gamble. And where has it gotten us? Instead of being safe and being smart and being more overly aggressive. It's just like being a sales guy and you overpromise, right? You overpromise and you underdeliver. You did not secure a reliable foundation underneath just in case. Knowingly, though, of Josey Jewell's symptoms and knowingly that you were going to release Shaq Thompson coming off that Achilles tear. And you know what's funny? Knowingly, Dan Morgan knows in this league where injuries are inevitable and depth wins games. That's bold and it's reckless. I don't care what anybody says, man. It puts us behind. It's absolutely right. It puts us behind the 8 ball. Huge. And that's fair to say that, Randall. But you could have brought in another guy that was close to Roseboom. At least close to Roseboom's stature. And you didn't. Because look at whatever, like, let's look at this roster, man. Now with Josey, Jewell gone. You're going to rock with Claude and Churlis and Jacob Wyndham, John Radigan. And I'm going to go over, let me go over this linebacker room with you guys real quick. Room's going to give us right now if we go into the season with this. I don't think we will. I think they'll make some moves. If they're smart, they'll make moves. There are some guys in free agency that I would like to target. There's like 3 guys I would like to target in free agency that are free agents right now. Okay. But when you look at this linebacker room, okay, behind, and I'm not even going to talk about Trevor Wallace, and I'm not going to talk about Christian Roseboom. All right. You got Claude and Churlis. That guy is a special teams. That's his ticket to this roster. He's not a guy that should be getting a lot of defensive reps. I mean, his energy and speed, I think, will be critical to fill those gaps, but he ain't gonna cut it. Okay? He ain't gonna cut it. All right. Another one. John Radigan, another special teams first player. He was a low-profile signing. He's smart. I mean, he's physical. He's got a solid history as a third-phase contributor. But in a weak inside linebacker room now, he's got a good shot at obviously surviving the final cuts. All right. Bam Martin Scott, I mean, I get it. The Panthers clearly like him, gave him the largest undrafted free agent guarantees in the entire league. Yes, he's South Carolina Gamecock. They also brought in Debo Williams from South Carolina as well, which will be interesting. But for Bam Martin Scott, if he shows anything in camp, he could push his way onto this roster. I could see that. And then, of course, Tua Nomura. That's why I call him Tua Nomura. I can't pronounce his first name. Tua Nomura. Again, that piece with limited upside. I think it, I think he's going to be a camp body. I like his tape, but I don't know if he's got enough to separate himself, right? I think he's going to need to have a massive preseason to avoid the cut. And then Jacob Wyndham, I mean, another developmental piece, has athletic flashes, hasn't shown enough in-game awareness or consistency. I think he's a practice squad at best, right? And then after that, who else am I missing? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So you're telling me you're okay with this? Thank you, Kendall. How many times did I post and talk about Gerald Pratt being available? Or Jermaine Pratt being available. And I said that should have been one of our free agent targets. And the Raiders got him for cheap. I mean, cheap money. He wasn't that expensive either. He was not that expensive. The Roppstar podcast started at limited potential, but look at you now, Clay. It's not because of me. I mean, it's because of you guys showing your support. I would do this even if nobody supported me, just because I love talking about football. But, I mean, Kendall, man, I'm right there with you. I did bring up a list. Let me go to my profile real quick. I did find a list of guys, and this is the list that we're looking at. This is what we have available, ladies and gentlemen. CJ Mosley, I'm pretty sure, is retired. Out of this list, I'm telling you right now, if I'm targeting anybody, it's probably it's probably going to be Jawan Bentley, Chris Barnes, or Raquan McMillan. That's really it, man. If there's anybody on this list that you would like for us to obviously sound off the comments, but yeah, it's slim pickings. Now, another guy that the only thing I can say is that they make a trade for a guy like a Zamir White or Zaire White. I think his name is Zaire White out of the Cardinals, which I don't think he's happy over there. So that's the only reason why I would bring him up. I'm trying to look up his name. I don't know if he's with the Cardinals anymore now. Maybe not. Maybe he's not with the Cardinals. I'm trying to think who it is that I was talking about. Is it Zaire White? Kaiser White. I would possibly bring him in. He's a guy I would possibly bring in. Try to trade for him. But that's the only one. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this is just not ideal, man. This is not the ideal thing. And again, there's 3 questions that I need answered. And why wasn't it's lucky that I don't get in those press conference, man, because I would ask these questions. I would be like, so if we knew Josey Jewell condition, why didn't you guys monitor it closely? And what's your next steps to moving forward? I never got question 2 and 3. Yeah, my second question was, Randall, is why did Carolina hinge its entire linebacker strategy on a player coming off a significant concussion, as in Josey Jewell, and another coming off an Achilles tear, as in Shaq Thompson, and then basically ditching them both without having a backup plan? My third question was, then why was Roseboom a friend who is basically a fringe starter at best? Why was he seen as a legitimate insurance policy? Those were my 3 questions. Or that was my questions 2 and 3. Again, this reeks of reactive management instead of proactive roster building. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And it's a failed plan that is gonna bite us in the fucking ass, I think now. And that's just me being honest. So who would you target? I just pulled it up. The Raekwon McMillan or Jawan Bentley. And maybe Chris Barnes. But other than that, those are my 3. And then if there was somebody out there that maybe I could try to trade for, it would probably be Kaiser White. I mean, if he believes in these young guys, great. I just think I would have gotten another inside linebacker. I wouldn't have drafted Trevor Etienne. That's one thing I probably wouldn't have done. I would have got me an inside linebacker where I drafted Trevor Etienne. Randall, you keep asking me questions like who? I have already given you free agents. But I can't go back to I'm not sure if I can go back to the draft board and see who was there available where we picked Trevor Etienne at. Yeah, because they already had Roseboom. So I would at least had an extra depth piece there. And I'm sure there was a decent linebacker there at the 4th round because there was no way I wasn't going to get passed up on T-Mac. And then, of course, I'm not passing up on Nick Scorin or Princely Ellen. What would your plan been, Randall? Since you seem to have all the questions but no answers. Because I'm answering your questions. What would you have done? Enlighten me. Because, again, I look at this as a mismanagement move once again. This was more reactive than proactive. Sorry. You had 2 guys, again, with injuries, knowingly so. You didn't close monitor the one. You knew you were going to release the other. You were going to cut ties with the other. And it's backfired. All right, let's move on. I'm done talking about that. It is what it is at the end of the day. We'll see if they actually come up with a game plan. Let's see if they can actually maybe bring in some linebackers in here. I hope they work out every last linebacker they can. I hope that Mr. Dan Morgan continues to be aggressive because at this point he has no choice to be aggressive. Whether it's a trade or whether it's a free agent, bringing in at least 2 free agents. You better hope some waiver wires come through. But Randall, I'm not saying they screwed up the whole offseason. They screwed up in this situation alone. The Josey Jewell situation alone, they screwed up. Again, they missed management. They didn't take a closer look at Josey Jewell. They didn't have a contingency plan knowing he had these symptoms since week 15. And then they knew that they were going to cut ties with Shaq Thompson and didn't have a contingency plan for him. The only contingency plan they had was Roseboom. Roseboom is a fringe starter at best. 135 tackles is great. Film looks good. But how are you going to say there was no decent linebackers left in free agents when Jermaine Pratt was still out there and he signed basically a 2-year, I think it was, or a 1-year deal with the Raiders for $6 million? Jermaine Pratt would have been a nice contingency plan. I could have rocked with Jermaine Pratt, Christian Roseboom, and Tre'von Wallace going into the season if this was to happen. I've been okay with it. So that's my response. What would I have done? I would have gotten Jermaine Pratt. Go look up his contract. It wasn't that expensive, and they could afford it. And Jermaine Pratt was still available. All right, let's move on. This one's not ideal either. Because they placed defensive lineman Bobby Brown III on the active non-football injury list. Sidelining a player that they just handed a 3-year, $21 million deal this offseason. Now, there's no details on this injury that were provided. It's a classic NFL smokescreen. All we know is that it didn't happen on the football field, and Brown won't be participating in when training camp truly opens. Whether it's a minor issue or something more, it remains to be seen. But the timing, again, is just not ideal, right? But, for those of you who know and don't know, who is Bobby Brown? Well, he matters a lot. He's not a household name, but he is a big piece of what the Panthers were trying to rebuild in the trenches when you got a guy at 6'4", 332 pounds, and he was expected to anchor the nose tackle spot in this 3-4 defense. And it's a role that demands size, power, consistency. Brown checks the size box. Consistency, that's still to be determined, but I do like what I've seen on tape. I mean, he spent 4 years with the Rams. Most of it was underwhelming from a production standpoint. I mean, he did have 84 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, a half a sack, 2 quarterback hits, 1 pass defended in 4 seasons. However, he did finally start 16 games last season and definitely showed enough progress to earn a second contract, largely thanks to his familiarity with Evero, who coached in LA during Brown's early years. So, yes, he was here to be a starter, right? He was brought here to be that starter at the nose tackle. The Panthers are already without him before the first whistle. Now, we all know about the whole Tommy Trimble thing and Dan Chesnia, going on the PUP list, and Sam Martin, the non-football injury list. Now this is 4 players unavailable before camp begins. And while most of them can be activated by any time, these early absences are more than just administrative footnotes. They're indicators of a roster already straining at the seams. But on paper, Brown's absence doesn't scream disaster, but this defense is already thin up in the middle. The Panthers, their depth at nose tackle is shaky at best. I'll say that. Because we know Shy Tuttle. We know what we're getting out of him. Cam Jackson could surprise somebody, right? It's got all the potential, rookie coming out of Florida. Now, hopefully Brown doesn't miss any extended period of time. I mean, because then Evero will be forced to either promote from within, which is not ideal, or you pray that a waiver wire cast off and emerges as a serviceable plug-in. But this is, again, we are a team that's transitioning with a new coaching staff, a third-year quarterback under pressure, a GM trying to plug holes, right? losing projected starters, especially ones you just paid eight figures before camp even begins, is the kind of bad omen this team just can't afford. We can't afford this. Right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Bobby Brown III wasn't supposed to be a guy that was supposed to headline. He was supposed to be a foundation piece of a quietly rebuilt defensive front, right? Now with this vague injury designation, he's got another question mark on this team that's already full of them. I'm not going to panic about this. It doesn't sound anything crazy, but this is a guy who I think could set the tone, especially on that defensive front. And it's a guy that I think needs to be here because I think he is a tone setter for not only for that front seven, but for the training camp. And the Panthers may be in for another long, hopefully not. I'm like just seeing this stuff already just is bringing back, bullshit. But hopefully we're not in another long season with just mirrored with injuries. All right. I can't go through that again. I just can't go through that again because it ain't looking good. Here comes Panther Gal with should have taken Jihad. I mean, what do I know, Miss? What do I know, Miss Panthers Gal? What do I know though? I was pounding the table for him over Jalen Walker and Michael Williams and all these other guys. And watch. But what do I know? Oh, Lord. I tell you what, man, this team can make you just want to put your head through a wall very easily. And we haven't even gotten into the season. All right, another signing. So the Panthers did sign former tight end Tyler Mabry per NFL Transaction Wire. Again, I was pounding the table for Noah Fant. I hope that's still maybe the case on the board, depending on obviously the cap space. Now we having to fill the void of the Josey Jewell thing, but again, we're just still in this move of just filling more gaps and then making headlines. So the Carolina Panthers signed tight end Tyler Mabry on today, 28-year-old veteran, best known for his special teams work in Seattle, was one of the 14 players who worked out for Carolina on Monday. This guy isn't some hidden gem acquisition, so don't even think that way. He is a depth signing, plain and simple. That's it. Like the guy has logged 10 NFL games across 3 seasons, and he has spent nearly 80% of his 139 snaps on special teams. So he's not here to revolutionize the pass game. What makes this signing notable isn't Mabry's resume. It's really because of his connections, right? He worked under Dave Canales, and he worked with Brad Ezek and tight ends coach Pat McPherson during his time in Seattle. So this is a textbook familiar face, known quantity edition, right? Obviously, they did this because of course, Tommy Tremble landing on the PUP list as he's recovering from that offseason back surgery. I think he's expected to begin rehab during training camp, so no one really knows how long he'll be out or how effective he'll be when he even returns. So again, here's another place that, you know, here's another mismanagement. Like, how did we not know? Like, how did we not know that this guy needed back surgery? How do you not know that Tommy Tremble needed back surgery? Are we just not monitoring our players? It just doesn't make sense to me, man. Because this is another one that I feel the same way, like the whole Josey Jewell thing. Like, are we just not paying attention to our players? Are we not monitoring our players? How did we not know that Tommy Tremble needed back surgery? Apparently they did, but then they waited last minute to tell him, okay, let's go ahead and get it done. It just doesn't make sense, man. The guy a contract. So again, this is another mismanagement. This is a reactive management instead of a proactive management. There's a difference. It's the same thing that I was saying about Josey Jewell earlier. There's a difference between reactive management and proactive management, and our front office is a reactive management as of right now. Because again, but they knew about. See, the thing is they knew about Tommy Tremble's back. They knew about it, but they just waited around last minute to say, okay, go get the back surgery. Why that is doesn't make any sense to me. Same thing with the Josey Jewell thing. You couldn't tell me you didn't know. You did not. You can't tell me you didn't know that the guy had concussion symptoms going on since week 15, and you just didn't closely monitor it. Again, it is this also. Again, both of these, the Tommy Tremble situation, and again, I'm going to leave it at this: the Tommy Tremble situation and the Josey Jewell situation reeks of reactive management when it should have been proactive management. That's just and I'm going to leave it at that. But I mean, this tight end room is already luckily enough, in this tight end room, you actually have guys. You've got Jadavion Sanders, got a lot of upside. I think he's still untested at the pro level, but love what I'm seeing at him develop as a pass catcher. You got Mitchell Evans, who's a 5th rounder, another developmental project, right? But again, it's when you add it all up at the end of the day, it's easy to see why the Panthers are kicking the tires on someone like this. So again, here's the thing. Is this a sign of big concerns for me? I mean, the Mabry signing is harmless on its own, but it's also a quiet admission that the tight end position is a shaky one. Like, Tremble, while solid, has yet to show he can stay healthy or develop into more than a role player. Sanders and Evans are promising, but green. And no one else is in the room is keeping defensive coordinators up at night. This isn't a tight end room you build an offense around. It's one you patch up and hope survives, right? Mabry doesn't move the needle, but he at least knows the system, which might be enough to earn him a camp role and some preseason reps. But if nothing else, he'll be a reliable body on special teams while Carolina figures out who can actually play meaningful snaps on offense. At the end of the day, Tyler Mabry's here because he's familiar, functional option. And the Panthers need one. This isn't about upside. It's about plugging holes with someone who won't blow assignments or get lost in the playbook he already knows. That's it. That's all that is. All right, let's get into some of that. I don't know if you guys tuned in to the press conference. We're going to go over some of the press conference right now, or some of the press conference things that I want to go over. I got to find it. Hold on. I'm going to start with Dan Morgan and some of the things he said. We'll start with this one because I do want to talk about it.
Season, I just wanted to reaffirm our commitment to building a smart, tough, passionate, competitive, resilient, and adaptable team. We aim to trust our process, be disciplined, and build a team that can sustain over time. Over the offseason, we've made targeted upgrades to our roster, adding key pieces on both sides of the ball to address our needs and create more dynamic options offensively and defensively. While still in process, we believe these moves combined with our existing talent, veteran leadership, and the development of our young players position us well for the challenges ahead. This season, our goals are clear: improve our consistency, develop our young core, have our vets lead the way, and compete every week with a relentless team-first mindset. We're committed to playing disciplined, physical football and creating a culture of high character and resilience.
So you had to write that all down and then read it off.
All right, so
there was something else I wanted to go over. Let's see. Oh,
His timeline for return.
he's doing good. He was cleared.
Brown, do you have an update on his timeline for return?
He's doing good. He was cleared for all activities. He's looking great. He's feeling great. We're excited to have him back. He's a huge piece of our defense.
So should we expect no load management or anything?
We're going to be smart with guys. We're not just going to throw them out there and, say, go ahead. We want to be smart. We want to do it the right way and bring them along slowly. But I know him; he's chomping at the bit to get out there and be full speed and be in there every play with his teammates. But we have to be smart.
Dan, you've been very
down.
So I want to talk about this real quick. Really talking about him being cleared, Derrick Brown. So let's get into some good news. Okay. The good news is that, of course, our defense, we all know last year was getting steamrolled. And then, now you have Derrick Brown who's fully cleared, ready to go. And Dan Morgan obviously gave that update in this press conference, confirming that, he's clear for all activities. And he's ready to rejoin the defensive unit, right? Let me remind you what we lost without Derrick Brown. Let me remind you who we were without Derrick Brown last year. Because, again, Brown missed 16 out of 17 games last year, suffering that knee injury. That was against the Saints. The timing was brutal. It was just a year earlier. You're talking about a guy who was a 2023 Pro Bowl, racked up 103 tackles, setting an NFL season record for a defensive lineman. He was finally becoming the disruptive interior force we've been waiting for, right? Been waiting for. And Carolina vision, and that's what we envisioned him being since we drafted him, right? So whereas, I think that with having Derrick Brown back and without him being here, right? It was a completely unraveled mess. You're talking about a guy who had over 534 points allowed, our team that allowed 534 points. I mean, that's the most in NFL history. You're talking about a guy who we're talking about not a guy. We're talking about a team. Sorry. because I'm talking about Derrick Brown here, but I'm also going over what happened last year. We also had 180. We were allowing basically 180 rushing yards allowed per game dead last year. And so, and then of course, we only had 32 sacks last year, bottom 3 in the league, 0 answers on the interior. So, I mean, his absence didn't just leave a hole. It cratered the entire front 7. Now, I like it that what he said, there's no rush, but also there's no time to waste, right? Like, with him being cleared, obviously don't expect the coaching staff to just throw him out there full speed, 60 snaps, battles from day one. Like, basically, what he's saying is it's a code for limited reps in camp, all right? And then he'll be full throttle when it matters. But let's be real, the defense needs him on the field as much as possible. And the Brown wants to be out there. But the front office, and Dave Canales will try to balance the caution with necessity. But with a paper thin defensive interior and a pass rush that's still has more potential than production, and they know what's at stake here. But I mean, having him come back matters more than ever, right? Because of what this defense was last year without him, right? When we had, and then that was the thing too, like we had new faces out there last year, Jadeveon Clowney, A'Shawn Robinson. But again, we just lacked that tone setter, right? And that's what Brown's job is a tone setter. So with Clowney, hey, fire alarm going off. What the hell? Oh, fire alarm's going off. I don't know what that's about. Huh? Who? Not that I know of. Oh, God. Hold on one second. I don't know what that was about. Sorry about that, guys. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Why this matters more than ever is again, we know how historically bad it was. The defense, again, didn't exactly bail that offense out because our offense wasn't, our offense was better, but it wasn't at where we want it to be, right? Until really the last 12 weeks and Bryce coming along and all that good stuff. But then again, like I was saying, you had new faces come in, Jadeveon Clowney, A'Shawn Robinson. But that team, but again, those guys around him, they lack that tone setter. That's what Brown's job is. Now you've got Clowney gone. You got this whole youth movement now going underway, especially in the edge room. Brown's presence is going to be even more critical. Rookie pass rushers like Nick Scorton, Prince Umamiel will need space to operate. You got veteran role players like DJ Wanham and Tershawn Wharton will look at more effective. I think will have more an effect on offensive lines, right? Because most of these offensive lines are going to be busy dealing with Brown on the interior. So Derrick Brown being healthy is the difference between the defense having a fighting chance or collapsing again. So again, Derrick Brown has to be the cornerstone once again. And again, I think our defense kind of depends on that because he is that tone setter. But it's good news to have him back. No, I hear you, Randall. I hear you. It's frustrating. Like the only reason I'm not getting frustrated at you or the people in the chat. So don't think I'm throwing shade at you guys. But I don't. There's just things in my mind that I'm just like, make it make sense to me. That's all. That's all. What there was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, this is what I want to talk about too. I think was it this? No, it was something else. Maybe it's that.
You can feel it, man. It's, this city, speaking for the city, has a lot of hope. They want winners, and you can feel it once it's kind of close. Even we won 5 games last year, which is not great by any means, but it felt like we were doing something great. You know what I mean? Because it's the city looking for it. So that vibe feels great. The team vibe feels great. I feel like the teams feel that, and we all want to be good, man, no matter what it is. You can feel it, man. This.
Dello entertains. I know all about Ben Martin Scott. So, as a Gamecock fan, and of course as a Carolina Panthers fan, so I know everything that there is to know about Ben Martin Scott, and I won't forget the name. But I appreciate that. But no, Robert Hunt came out today and he spoke about the Corbett battle, which I'm surprised they didn't post more about that, which was interesting. But obviously skipping that, I'm going to skip over that tonight. But listening to Robert Hunt speak today, because he spoke about a lot about winning, right? Like he just wants to win. But you can also see that he believes in this team. Right? Because he was talking about he came out was talking like you could tell he wanted to say that we're going to make the playoffs this year. We're going to win a lot of games. And so when you listen to his press conference, it was interesting. Because Hunt. But there was a question talking about basically who do you think who will win the Cade Mays or Austin Corbett battle, or who he would rather play with. But he came out and said basically that he doesn't care who wins that battle as long as they can hold their own. Because he's played against both. All he cares about is winning, right? And so he doesn't care. But it's interesting because again, the Corbett and the Mays battle is going to be one of the biggest ones I'm going to be watching, right? It's going to be one of the ones I'm going to be watching. All right, there's something else that I want to talk about here, and that is something that came up today across my my timeline here. Hold on. Was it my timeline? Yeah, it was my timeline. I thought this was interesting. And I'm going to share my screen again. Shit. All right, so So they came out with this 2025 training camp. ESPN came out with their 2025 training camp preview. And of course, everyone's favorite David Newton came out and said the biggest storyline in Carolina. And that is his storyline is, can Bryce Young live up to the hype and his expectations in year 3? All right. The top pick of the 2023, the top pick of the 2023 draft showed glimpses of what Carolina hoped he would be in the second half of the season and in the final 3 years. Young had 7 touchdowns to no interceptions and rushed for 3 or more touchdowns. He was a drop pass touchdown. He was a dropped touchdown by Rook. He was a drop touchdown pass by rookie Xavier get away from beating eventually Super Bowl champion Philadelphia and winning 3 of his final 5 games. Fixing the league's worst defense is important, but having Young play at a high level will determine whether this team can end a streak of 7 straight losing seasons. So basically, what I'm getting from that is Bryce Young or bust. The Panthers' future really hangs on one man, okay? And the Panthers 2025 training camp isn't about, basically what I'm getting from David Newton is he's saying that this training camp isn't about team culture. It's about coaching schemes. Or it's not about defensive resurgence. It's about one thing and one thing only, Bryce Young. Is he the franchise savior? Or is he just another hyped, undersized quarterback drafted too high, too fast? Right? That's what I'm getting out of that. Okay? All right. I get it. The kid had a disastrous rookie season, followed by an even worse start to the 2024 season. Right? I mean, Young looked like a bust in real time at the time. And then he got benched after those 2 games, right? His confidence shaken. Again, his mechanics off, leadership absent. If it weren't for a thumb injury from veteran Andy Dalton and getting in that car wreck, who knows? I mean, Bryce Young may have never gotten another chance. Who knows? But his NFL obituary was already being drafted. But then, again, something just clicked. He re-entered the lineup and then suddenly turned into the quarterback Carolina thought they drafted number 1 overall pick out of Alabama. And then from week 12 onward, he lit up defenses. 3 touchdowns in that final three games, 10 touchdowns in the final 3 games, 0 turnovers. He torched Arizona, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, including a 5-touchdown overtime thriller against the Falcons. And then that made that made Dave Canales proclaim, we have our guy. But I mean, I think for some of you Panthers fans, and of course maybe David Newton, like a lot of people are asking, do they? Well, that's fucking awesome. God damn. It gets even better, Antonio, man. It gets even better. Oh, man. But then another person, and no pun intended, another person came out kind of having the same thing. Is Bryce Young for real, or was that just a fluke? So you go over to Joe Persons of The Athletic, and he came out with the top 10 Carolina Panthers storylines, and it is, let's see where it's at here. Yep, right here. Is Bryce Young poised to take the next step and put the Panthers in contention, playoff contention, basically? Okay. I mean, he's also putting it bluntly. Like this training, he's coming out here and saying that this training camp is about separating truth from illusion. Like, is this the real Bryce Young, or was it just a Linsanity run? All right. That late season surge could have been the start of could be the start of a legitimate breakout, or it could have been stat padding against mediocre opponents when playoff implications were already dead and buried. All right. But I'm going to say this. Let's face it. The bar isn't set particularly high, Carolina, anyways. I mean, we've finished below 500 for 7 seasons straight. We haven't even sniffed the playoff relevance in years. And we're fresh off deploying one of the worst defenses in NFL history. I am not demanding a Super Bowl this season. But continuing to lose, to me, is unacceptable. Even in a rebuilding year. And if we go back to the David Newton came out with this most pressing question: Can Carolina make the playoffs? It's far more basic. Can Bryce Young lead this team to a winning season? 9 wins. That's it. That's the ceiling for optimism in 2025. That says a lot about where this franchise is. Like, again, context matters here. Like, don't forget where he came from. It's easy to forget about how absurd Bryce Young's football journey has been. You're talking about from his Heisman, from his high school, right? 5-star recruit, Heisman Trophy winner in Alabama, number 1 overall pick in 2023, but he also walked into an NFL situation that set him up to fail from the beginning. Right? I mean, Carolina Panthers offensive line couldn't protect a lawn chair in his rookie year. His weapons were laughable. The coaching was a carousel of dysfunction. And on top of it, and to top it off, while Young was struggling, his buddy CJ Stroud was making history down in Houston, and comparisons weren't just inevitable, they were brutal. So when Young says, run your own race during a return visit to his high school, he's not spitting cliches, ladies and gentlemen. He's speaking from the hard-won wisdom of someone who nearly lost everything in less than 2 seasons. So when you kind of put it in that perspective, right, NFL success isn't about vibes, ladies and gentlemen. It's about wins, growth, consistency, right? That's what it's about. But also your relevance extends beyond the field. But here's the reality check of all of this, right? If Bryce Young plays like he did in December 2024, the Panthers will be flirting with a winning record. If he regresses, then Carolina Panthers playoff drought will extend to nearly a decade, and the fans, a lot of fans are going to be screaming for a quarterback in that 2026 draft, and probably even myself. And if he plateaus, then here's the difference. Then we remain stuck in purgatory. We're too bad to win, but we're also too good to tank. So there's no middle ground really anymore. The excuses are over. You got the same head coach, you got the same system, you got plenty of weapons. Again, a year of NFL mileage under Young's belt, right? So Bryce Young must be the guy, not by week 10, not down the stretch, from day 1, week 1. I think what's going to happen, even though this is the biggest storyline according to David Newton, I think this is a storyline, but I will say this. I think for Bryce Young, training camp isn't a warm-up for him. It's a judgment day for him. I really, truly believe that. So let me go see this news out here, though. Let's go see what news is out here. Yep. Oh, shoot. I meant to share this tab. Meant to share this tab right here. My bad, Clay. Not yet. It's a workout, but they're trying to get a deal done. Son of a bitch. They're going to do what they did, man. They're going to do. See, here's the thing with the Saints, man. They're going to do what they did with Chase Young. They're going to work him out, and then they're going to sign him. So the Saints had immediate need at a position. They went out, filled it with top talent. Damn, wonder what that feels like. But we're going to be aggressive, Kendall. We're going to be aggressive, remember? Which means when Dan Morgan says aggressive, he says we're going to take action. Right. Sometimes you have to be real, man. We can't sit here and sugarcoat things and stuff like that, man. It's frustrating to see these types of things, especially this type of stuff developing in our own backyard when we had the guy. I mean, we had the guy here and we couldn't get a deal done. I think it's just a bunch of shenanigans, man. I think it's just a bunch of shenanigans at this point. Those laser eyes have kind of gone dim since the draft. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't. I mean, we should be in on this deal. Like, that's one of the biggest questions I had. Like, will Dan Morgan pull the trigger on a veteran DB? Like, everyone expected a move in the secondary this offseason, and it didn't happen. Like, the Panthers flirted, again, with Julian Blackmon. They flirted with Marcus Williams. They could still pull the trigger on Justin Simmons. I mean, he's still sitting out there, has history with Evero. As of now, it looks like Dan Morgan and Canales are betting on the current crop that they got, especially J.C. Horn, right? And then you got a new addition in Tre'von Moehrig. I could see this backfiring quickly if this unit gets exposed during joint practices like with the Browns and Texans. I could. I do. And this is just another perfect example, ladies and gentlemen. Because that was one of the questions I had too. Like, will Dan Morgan pull the trigger on a veteran DB? Well, it is what it is. I mean, again, we'll see what happens. We'll see if they work him out, they sign him, we'll find out. Again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. Again, a shout out to you guys, all of you guys in the chat. Make sure you guys do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on new content. Sorry for going off tonight. It just some things get me fired up, man. And football's here, and you know, I'm just passionate, okay? But it's no shock to you guys again. So don't take it don't take it the wrong way. All right. But again, I appreciate everyone joining again. Much love to everybody tonight who came in and come through. Yeah, but we'll be live tomorrow again. Once again, same time, same place, around 8 p.m. EST as always. Y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. I'm out of here. Peace.